Hey everyone, and welcome to today's Explainer. We're jumping right into a super fascinating linguistic paper by Thomas Falconi and Lucas Alves Selhorst. These guys take a literal deep dive into the hidden architecture of the web browsers we use every single day. We're going to unpack their concept of the, and bear with me, it's a bit of a mouthful, subject avatar in computerized enunciative spaces. By the end of this, the way you view the internet, it's going to completely shift.
So think about this for a second. Who are you when you browse the web? I mean, we usually think of our browser as just this neutral window, right? Just a tool to get to a website. But today, we're looking at the internet as a highly active space that literally dictates our digital identity. Your browser isn't just showing you the web, it's actively shaping who you are while you're swimming around in it.
Okay, let's dive into this. Here is our roadmap for today. 1. Data colonialism. 2. The digital subject avatar. 3. The logic of Google Chrome. 4. What is Tor? And finally, 5. Anonymity as resistance.
All right, let's kick things off with Section 1, Data Colonialism. So, to really get what this paper is talking about, we first have to understand this concept of data colonialism. Scholars Kudry and Magis define this as basically combining historic predatory extraction with the abstract number crunching of modern computing. And the researchers highlight this to make a crucial point. They argue that extracting our personal data has become totally naturalized. It's basically an inescapable ideology at this point. Converting your daily life into profitable data just feels like, well, the normal way the world works, doesn't it?
Moving right along to Section 2, the digital subject avatar.
Now, the researchers introduced this really powerful term, the subject avatar. They say, and I quote, "The subject avatar is not merely a user profile, but the very subject position constituted discursively from digital materiality." Okay, let's translate that into plain English. Practically speaking, this means your browser acts as a computerized enunciative space. It is actively managing your identity, it's dictating the boundaries of what you can say, what you search, and what you do. You aren't just an anonymous person pressing keys in the dark. The system is molding you into an avatar that it can track and monitor.
So how exactly is this avatar being built? Well, it happens through these invisible practices that we interact with every single day. First up, technical records. Think your logins, your IP address tracking. Second, interface transparency. That's the illusion that there's absolutely nothing standing between you and the web. And third, what the researchers brilliantly call metallic memory. These are the massive, sprawling, big tech databases storing your entire browsing history. Put all these together and they build this permanent bridge connecting you, sitting right there in your chair, to the massive servers storing your digital life.
Which brings us to Section 3, the logic of Google Chrome.
When we look at Google Chrome through this academic lens, the authors point out something they call the Chrome mirror. Seriously, next time you open Chrome, notice how your face or your little initial is perpetually exposed right up there in the top right corner. The researchers argue that this seemingly helpful, innocent feature actually creates a fixed, highly individualized avatar. It's constantly reminding you you are logged in, you are known, and your actions are tied directly to your commercial identity. The whole setup is optimized for seamless data extraction.
Now, I know exactly what you're thinking. You're saying, but wait, what about incognito mode? Well, the authors observed something super fascinating here. Standard browsing overtly promotes syncing and personalizing your account, right? But even when you switch to incognito mode, Chrome still prompts you to log in, suggesting you enjoy your account to the fullest. The researchers argue this subtly frames giving up your data as an active user autonomy. Even when you are literally asking not to be tracked, the environment still calls upon you to identify yourself. Wild, right?
Let's move to Section 4 and see how this builds. What is Tor?
To really drive this home, the researchers contrast Chrome with the Tor browser. When you pull up the Tor project download page, the very first message you see is incredibly striking. Privacy is possible. The authors point out how this immediately challenges that preconceived notion we all have that online surveillance is just an inescapable fact of life. It boldly suggests there is an alternative to the whole extractivist logic of data colonialism we talked about earlier.
And this brilliantly illustrates how Tor actually achieves this privacy. It uses an architecture called onion routing. Here's how it works. When a user requests a connection, the traffic absolutely does not go straight to the website. Instead, it gets bounced through multiple intermediate volunteer nodes, literally like the layers of an onion. So by the time the destination website actually receives the request, it has zero idea where it originally came from. Tor is actively obscuring your IP address and your technical identity.
The mechanics of this network go even deeper, too. It features non-indexable domains, which means those automated search engine robots can't easily crawl and record them. These addresses end in .onion instead of your standard .com. Plus, the browser defaults to the DuckDuckGo search engine, which promises not to track your searches, and it even features an onionized option to find hidden network results. This entire space is explicitly designed to prevent those metallic memory databases from indexing your behavior.
All right, let's bring it all home with Section 5, Anonymity as Resistance. Bringing these two browsers head-to-head, the researchers' core thesis boils down to this. Google Chrome fixes your identity. It creates a highly locatable profile that perfectly mirrors the colonialist extraction of data. But in stark contrast, the Tor browser completely disrupts this. Because Tor continually clears your session and hides your origin, it creates a fluid, temporary, and fragmented subject avatar. This kind of avatar fundamentally resists being extracted, packaged, and monetized.
Now, what's really interesting here is a slight contradiction the authors found within Tor itself. The Tor interface asks, are you ready for the world's most private browsing experience? The researchers point out the use of that word, you. Even in a browser built from the ground up for total anonymity, the language still individualizes the user. It just goes to show how deeply ingrained the concept of the individual profile is in our digital spaces. We literally cannot even talk about privacy without talking about the individual. So, I want to leave you with a really powerful question derived from these findings. Do we speak, search, and act differently when we know we aren't being tracked? The researchers strongly suggest that our choice of browser isn't just some technical preference about load speeds or cool extensions. It is a fundamental choice of how we exist, and maybe even how we resist in the digital world. Ultimately, the space we speak from shapes exactly what we are willing to say. Thanks so much for joining me for today's explainer, and remember, keep questioning the architecture of your digital world.